town of Cobourg. And I just want to take a second to thank you all for being here for this very special day for the community. So I'm going to start off with a land acknowledgement. I'm just going to speak to why we are doing the flag raising today, and then Mayor Cleveland will also have a few words. So it shouldn't be too long of a ceremony, but again, I really appreciate you folks being here today. Can everyone hear me okay? Thumbs up? Awesome. So, for land acknowledgement, we respectfully acknowledge that we are located on traditional treaty territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the William Treaties First Nations, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Brahma, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. We respectfully acknowledge that the William Treaties First Nations have been stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters, and that today remain vigilant over health and integrity for generations to come. We are all treaty people. Of course, we have grown accustomed to reading and listening to these land acknowledgements, but I want to take a moment to reiterate why we do them. Land acknowledgements are the practice of giving thanks, appreciation, and respect for all in creation. These include ancestors, communities, other beings, allied nations, and Mother Earth to start gatherings. As part of Truth and Reconciliation, implementing this practice into our regular routine respects and recognizes Indigenous people and culture. It allows us both Indigenous and non-Indigenous folks to set positive intentions before any gathering. As we move through the rest of this flag-raising ceremony, I invite you to pause, reflect, and accept today with an open heart and an open mind. Today we gather for the permanent flag raising of the Every Child Matters flag. It stands as a powerful reminder of the painful legacy of the Canadian residential school system. It is a symbol that represents Indigenous children who were forcibly separated from their families, their communities, and their cultures for over 150 years. It honors the survivors who endured unimaginable hardships and the children who never returned home. The origin of this flag are rooted in Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action, which seek to address the historical injustices inflicted upon Indigenous peoples in Canada. It was through these calls to action that the nation came to recognize that we need to confront the dark chapters of our history and embark on this path of reconciliation. The orange color of the flag and the shirts you wear today pay tribute to Phyllis Webstad, whose story of having her orange shirt taken away from her on the first day of residential school has become a powerful symbol of cultural assimilation that took place within these institutions. Phyllis's experience represents the pain and trauma that countless Indigenous children endured. The Every Child Matters flag is not just a symbol of the past, it is a call to action for the present and the future. It is a call to action to acknowledge the deep and lasting impact of the residential school system on Indigenous communities and to stand with survivors and their families. The significance of this flag is not only in what it represents, but what it inspires us to do. It inspires us to learn about the history of residential schools, to listen to the stories of survivors, and to educate ourselves and others about the legacy of colonialism and oppression. It calls upon us to engage in meaningful dialogue with Indigenous communities, to support their efforts towards healing, and to work together towards reconciliation. Thank you. I now invite Mayor Cleveland to share a few words before we officially raise the flag.
Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you to staff, council members, and the general public who have come out today on this day. And today we gather on this meaningful occasion to commemorate the third National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. This day holds a profound significance in history as it calls upon us to reflect on the past and acknowledge the painful truth that has shaped our nation. And we need to work together towards a brighter, more inclusive future. Today, we make a permanent statement to reflect our larger commitment to work with Indigenous leaders, community organizations, and all residents to ensure that our town is a place where diversity is celebrated and where every person's rights and dignity are upheld. Truth and Reconciliation Day is not merely a date on the calendar. It represents a commitment to healing and to unity. It invites us to confront the uncomfortable realities of our past, from the injustices faced by the Indigenous peoples to the impacts of colonialism and systemic discrimination. It reminds us that acknowledging the truth is the first step towards true reconciliation. It's important to state that reconciliation goes beyond our commemorative ceremonies. And true reconciliation means we must engage in meaningful consultation with Indigenous communities from the very beginning of any project or policy that may impact them. We must listen actively, we must respect their perspectives, and we must work collaboratively to find solutions that benefit all parties. This process requires time, patience, and a willingness to adapt our plans on the input that we receive, and that we are grateful to be working with the Alderville Nation to ensure that we are continuing to build a meaningful relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, let this Truth and Reconciliation Day be a turning point in our history, a day of reflection, learning, and renewed dedication to building a just and reconciled society. I invite the community to learn how they can be part of the Truth and Reconciliation Project by reaching out to us or by visiting the beautiful community of Alderville to the north. Thank you, and may this day of Truth and Reconciliation be a source of inspiration for all of us.
So that concludes the end of our flag raising ceremony. There's also a concert going on in the park right now. I'm sure you can overhear a little bit of it, but it is the Christian school putting on their